Believe it or not, I'm actually pretty excited for the new Avengers game. Initially, I wasn't impressed at all. The character designs looked weird, the gameplay wasn't hitting right, and they got MODOK as the main villain. This game also just seems to be absent of the hype that most major AAA games receive before their release. However, seeing more gameplay videos of it has won me over. The devs are pretty big Avengers fans themselves, and I can see the genuine effort to make this game worthwhile for players. All the different costumes, all the customization options, the story mode, and the fact that all DLC post-launch is free. You guys realize that means we'll get whole new areas, story expansions, and characters for free, right? I don't know about y'all, but that sounds like a good deal to me. I realize that a lot of this might be personal taste, but hey, I like what I like, and I like how this game's looking right now, which has ended up leading me to making this video. I don't know which characters are going to be in the game aside from the ones released at launch and Ant-Man, but I still wanted to make this video for the hell of it. I tried to organize this list in some manner while making this video, but in the end I said fuck it and just listed random characters I would like to see regardless of who they were. This list will primarily feature hero characters, but I will suggest plenty of villains to try and balance that out. So without further ado, here's my character wish list for Marvel's Avengers. The X-Men deserve nice things, especially after the flop that was Dark Phoenix. These characters have been featured in so many games in the past already, and for good reason. Wolverine has always been a fun character to play regardless of what game he's been in, at least in my experience. They even somehow managed to make his movie license game fun. Don't sit there and tell me X-Men Origins wasn't lit. I mention him specifically because he does often go solo, and he's probably the most likely character to be chosen out of the X-Men anyway. Besides him, the X-Men that I would like to see include Cyclops, Storm, Beast, Nightcrawler, Shadowcat, Colossus, and/or Iceman. With the plot of this game already entailing Inhumans, they could bring the X-Men in if they borrowed from the X-Men versus Inhumans storyline. And I mean specifically the idea that the Terrigen Mist, the thing that activates Inhuman abilities, is something that is lethal to mutants. Maybe they could fight alongside the Avengers to save mutants and Inhumans being experimented on by AIM. If Black Panther is going to be DLC like I'm pretty sure he is, then I think it'd be a great opportunity to include Killmonger and M'Baku or Manape as playable antagonists. Killmonger can have the whole sword and half-spear combo like he did in the movie, while M'Baku can have his mace. These will make for really fun movesets in the gameplay that can differentiate them from T'Challa, and they can even be customizable items for the characters. In terms of character design, I think a mix of the movie and comic book counterparts for both characters would work in this instance. That way we could have a look for these characters that's unique to this game. As for story inclusion, whatever way they try to include Black Panther in, I'm just going to assume that they would naturally include Killmonger and M'Baku in that way if they could. There's really a lot of different ways they could write these characters in there just because of how they're connected to Black Panther. I also wouldn't be opposed to playing as Shuri or Okoye. I'm really saying Defenders here to cover all four of these characters. You got two badass martial artists with Daredevil and Iron Fist, and you got the power couple with Jessica Jones and Luke Cage. I'm leaning more towards Daredevil and Iron Fist just because I feel like they'd be more fun to play out of these four. Daredevil's got his baton, nunchuck, grappling hook thing, while Iron Fist can break things with his glowing hand. What doesn't sound fun about that, especially when you look at this gameplay? I also feel like Luke Cage and Jessica Jones would be a little bit redundant considering we'll have Captain America and the Hulk. Of course, I still wouldn't be opposed to seeing these characters show up, and most of them stay in New York anyway, so how hard is it to write them into the game? Speaking of New York quartets, just like the X-Men, the Fantastic Four deserve nice things after the movies they've had. There's a lot that they could do with these characters. 4 unique power sets and a team dynamic that can compare or contrast to the Avengers, and the possibility to have Dr. Doom in the game in a future story expansion. You guys trying to tell me that you wouldn't want to play as Dr. Doom? The Victor Von Doom? I also feel like Square Enix is already considering them at least. They could write a story expansion where the Fantastic Four have been fighting AIM as well. Or maybe Reed Richards is a part of the effort to research Inhuman abilities, and this somehow ties into the main conflict of the story. My next suggestion, funny enough, is another big superhero team. Why not include a bunch of a-holes? The Guardians of the Galaxy would be pretty fun DLC characters. The version of the Guardians that I'm most familiar with is in the movies, so those characters are the ones I'm specifically talking about here. And those are probably the characters they would go with anyway, just because of their popularity after the MCU. Star-Lord, I feel like, would be the least fun to play as in terms of gameplay, considering the whole dual pistols gimmick isn't that interesting compared to what a lot of the other characters can do. I really think Drax, Groot, and Rocket would be the most fun to play as. Groot and Drax would probably play more like powerhouse type characters, while Rocket could probably use his size advantage in combat. Just imagine being little Rocket Raccoon and crawling around on the ground and using your size to disorient your enemies while shooting at them with whatever guns Rocket just pulls out of his ass. I can't be the only one who thinks that this would be fun as hell. They could also potentially write the Guardians in with Captain Marvel, since they all affiliate or have some connection to the Kree and the general extraterrestrial space in Marvel. Speaking of Kree, Ronan the Accuser would be a fun villain to add to the game. If they do, hopefully he's more like his comic counterpart though, because he was lame as fuck in the MCU. Two badass lesser known characters who I think would make great DLCs for this game. You got Marvel's badass Black Superman and the first black woman to be a part of the Avengers. What's not to love here? Including both may be a little redundant considering that their powers are pretty similar, but I think it'd be worth it considering both characters haven't appeared much outside of comics. And I've seen a decent number of fans push for these two to appear more and stuff anyway. If they had to be included in terms of story, then maybe they could be part of the Ultimates in this game's world. And in that regard, maybe the Ultimates could be a superhero team that formed in the 7-year absence of the Avengers. With that, you could write these characters in with Captain Marvel in the event that they probably will include her in the game. I also wouldn't be opposed to just including them in the game just for the hell of it. I don't want Crystal Dynamics to think that every DLC character has to have a major story expansion for this game. With these two, you also have more flying and beam shooting characters, so the more the merrier. Funny enough, Monica Rambeau was actually Captain Marvel before Carol Danvers. Now she's just a little girl that looks up to her. Literally the first villain the Avengers fought in the movies and the comics. He's Thor's jealous stepbrother, and Thor is already in the game. There are so many reasons as to why Loki would be a great playable antagonist, but I'm going to keep my list of reasons short for the sake of this video. With Loki specifically, the devs have the opportunity to create a character that would be immense fun to play because of his personality and the fact that he's a literal god of mischief. His gameplay should show that. Maybe he can have that mind control ability he did with the scepter in the first movie. He should also have a few moves where he uses plenty of illusions to fool his enemies too. Or something along those lines. One of the most badass Avengers villains of all time, and I'm damn sure not talking about whoever the fuck that was impersonating him in the movie. This game already has you fighting a bunch of robots in the story just from looking at the trailers and gameplay, and the main villain is a technopath already. Plus, Hank Pym, Ultron's original creator, is in the game already. Of course, with all this in mind, Square Enix could just save Ultron for a potential sequel as a main antagonist, so it is likely that he won't appear in this game. However, I still want to play as Ultron at some point. I haven't seen too many people bring these guys up, so I will. I think the Wrecking Crew would be really nice additions to this game. These guys really just function as a group of superpowered criminals who often work as henchmen for the real big bad in their storylines, but they always are fun to see in action and stuff though. I feel like Square Enix could do a lot with these characters in terms of how they play, and I feel like with the right writers, they could have some pretty fun banter amongst themselves and the Avengers when fighting. I also think it'd be cool to have a team of supervillains to counteract the team of superheroes you have with the Avengers in this game. Of course, that could just be my line of thinking, but hey, why not have the Wrecking Crew in there? Other characters I would like to see potentially included are Sentry, Ghost Rider, Kang the Conqueror, Taskmaster. He's already in the game, why not make him playable later on? Spider-Man, of course, and maybe a few villains from Spider-Man's Rogues Gallery. Especially if it were Green Goblin or Kraven. Man, if this game made me play as Kraven. But of course, the one group of heroes that should absolutely be included in this game, regardless of what anybody says, the New Warriors. Relax, y'all. I'm playing. Please don't hit that dislike button. Man, just imagine if Square Enix actually did put the new Warriors in this shit. Oh, man. Well, that's really all of who I have for this video. Except Blade. I forgot to say Blade. Yeah, if you can't throw Blade in there. Let me know what you guys thought of my list, or better yet, make your own in the comment section below. And please don't forget to like this video and subscribe if you haven't already. My name is Tasan Young, and I'm out. Be easy out there.